Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be using a Chef IQ pressure cooker to make truffle mushroom macaroni and cheese. Mac and cheese is one of the most popular comfort foods out there, and after you try making it like this, you'll never do it any other way. So you ready? Let's get into this. For this recipe, we're going to need some dry elbow pasta, shiitake mushrooms, fresh grated Parmesan cheese, either grated or shaved Gruyere cheese, some avocado oil, whole milk, water, all-purpose flour, a little bit of unsalted butter, salt and pepper, a little bit of thyme, some fresh chopped parsley. Obviously, you're going to need some truffle oil, and I got a couple of extra parsley shoots here just for decoration. If you'd like to make this recipe, all the ingredients and measurements are down in the description of the video, along with the calorie count, the protein, the carbs, and the fat. Here's our Chef IQ pressure cooker. The first thing we're going to be doing is searing the mushrooms. So we don't need the lid on this for this step. If your pressure cooker doesn't have a sear function, that's not a problem. You can do this part on your cooktop and then transfer it into your pressure cooker when we're ready. So the first thing I'm doing is pouring in the avocado oil, and I'm going to select the sear saute option on my machine. I'm going to leave it on manual. I'm going to set the temperature on this to high. And I don't care about any of these other settings because I'm going to be turning it off well before that anyway. So I'm just going to hit continue down here, and I'm going to start my preheat. After it's been about 3 minutes, your oil should be properly preheated. And if you're using this particular pressure cooker, it will tell you when it's ready as well. Now I can add in the shiitake mushrooms, the salt, and the pepper. And we're going to cook these until they start to turn a little bit brown. Just be sure that you're stirring this pretty frequently. You want everything to cook nice and even. If you don't want to be a moron like me, then don't use a whisk. Just be sure to use something that's not going to scratch the non-stick surface of your pressure cooker or whatever pan you happen to be using, if in fact that is a non-stick pan. It's going to seem like your mushrooms have soaked up all the oil, and that's because they have soaked up all the oil. That's not a problem. Don't add more. You don't want soggy mushrooms here. You just want them to be cooked properly. You don't have to stir it constantly like I am. I'm just doing this because I'm talking to you and don't want to be standing here with nothing happening on camera. Just be sure that you stir them often enough to where you're not going to burn one side. As far as time goes on this, you're probably looking someplace in the vicinity of around 7 minutes or so. If you're searing in your pressure cooker, you'll be using high heat, and if you're cooking on the stove top, I would do a medium to medium high heat someplace in there. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Okay, and once they're starting to look a little bit like that, you'll know we're ready for the next step. Okay, so next we're going to add in our little butter cubes. And we're going to mix these around, and we're going to give them about a minute or so to melt into our mix. If they're taking longer than a minute, then something is seriously wrong. Probably means you are not living on Earth or something, because there's no way, even if those were frozen, that they should last any longer than a minute in here. Now after that's been a minute and the butter is all melted just like this, at this point, you would take your mixture, if you're doing it on your cooktop, and you transfer it over to your pressure cooker. If you're like me and you got a pressure cooker that has the saute feature, and you're kind of where I am right now, then we can just move on to our next step immediately. So we'll add in the flour, and this time we'll use the whisk to get that combined in here. Make sure you don't have any lumps or anything in it before we move on to the next step. Now we're going to add in all the macaroni, our water, sure, give it a mix a little bit. So we'll make sure that that macaroni is not going to stick right away. Then we'll add in our milk, give that another stir to make sure everything's combined and mixed properly. And at this point, we're going to be ready to pressure cook. So on goes the lid. Make sure that's locked into place. If your machine is still sauteing, we'll go ahead and stop that. We're gonna select pressure cook. My machine actually has a pasta setting for this right down there, but we're not gonna use that because I'm gonna make the assumption that you have a machine that maybe doesn't have that, so we're just gonna do this manually. The cooking time we want to be only 2 minutes. That seems like no time at all, but remember, we're pressure cooking this. It's not gonna take much time. We want the pressure level to be set to high, and the pressure release we're gonna set to pulse. If you don't have pulse, that's fine, just set it on quick, or just leave it as default, or maybe you don't have settings for that, whatever, it's perfectly fine. Now we can just hit continue and hit start. One thing to make note of really quick is to make sure that your pressure valve isn't set to vent. Otherwise, you'll never build up any pressure and you're gonna be standing here for hours and hours and hours and nothing's gonna happen. Now all we have to do is wait.
3 days later.
Once your pressure cooker's done, be very careful when you're opening it. For starters, be sure to flip the vent over to ventilation, just to make sure there's no pressure still built up in here. You don't want to try to open this lid with any pressure left in your pressure cooker, or you could get burned, scalded, the lid could go flying off, all kinds of crazy things can happen.
What?
Just be sure that you don't have any pressure left in here before you try to take that off, and you're going to be in good shape. Now that we have all that pressure released, we'll take off our lid. We're going to give this another quick stir. As you can see, this is looking really good. You might have some of your macaroni sticking together a little bit right here. Don't worry about that, that's fine. Now we're going to add in our truffle oil, our Parmesan cheese, and our thyme. I'm going to stir that and make sure we get that combined and mixed really well. You want to try to distribute that cheese as evenly as you can. We want this to be as cheesy as possible in every little part of this. I'm going to put a little extra truffle oil in here because I think it tastes really great. That's not going to be included in the recipe. I'm just kind of doubling it up because it's a flavor I really, really like. Now I can take the Gruyere. I'm going to throw that in too. Make sure you get every little bit of that. If you've never had Gruyere cheese, I think you'll really like it. It's a little bit stronger cheese. Might be a little bit harsh. I don't know, for some people. I think it's just really, really great, and it complements the Parmesan really, really well. Those two cheeses mixed together are almost like they're meant to be together. You know, like peanut butter and jelly, Sonny and Cher, Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. And I've just shown my age. And once you've got that mixed, we'll be ready to plate. And you notice that I haven't put the parsley in here. That's a garnish is gonna go on the top at the very end because we don't want that cooking or anything in here. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. If you're using an iOS device, you might not be able to see it, and if that's the case, I do have a link down in the description of the video as well. That macaroni and cheese recipe came out so good and I can't wait for you to try it. Other than the flavor, the best parts about this recipe are the facts that it creates almost no mess, and you can have it done in the fraction of the amount of time that you would any other way. If you'd like some more information about the Chef IQ pressure cooker that I used in this video, I do have an Amazon affiliate link to it down in the description. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. If you like this video, you might like this video right here where I use the same pressure cooker to make chicken francais. Just like with this one, it was super fast, easy to clean up, and tastes really great. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon. And until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.